Throughout history, one figure stands as a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of faith. Jesus of Nazareth, a name that echoes through millennia, performed acts that defied human understanding, acts we call miracles. These were not mere tricks or illusions. They were profound displays of divine authority over nature, sickness, and even death itself. Today, we journey back in time to witness 10 of the most powerful miracles of Jesus. Events that have shaped the course of human history and continue to inspire millions around the world. Our journey begins at a wedding in Cana of Galilee. The celebration is in full swing, but a crisis looms. The wine has run out. For the hosts, this would be a source of great shame. Jesus' mother Mary turns to him, confident in his ability to help. Jesus instructs the servants to fill 6 large stone water jars with water. Each jar held 20 to 30 gallons. Then he tells them to draw some out and take it to the master of the feast. As the master tastes it, he is astounded. Without knowing its source, he praises the bridegroom for saving the best wine for last. In this, his first public miracle, Jesus didn't just save a family from embarrassment. He transformed the ordinary into the extraordinary, signifying the new era of grace and abundance he was ushering in. The miracle of turning water into wine reveals a God who cares about our everyday joys and sorrows, who meets us in our moments of need, and who brings celebration and new life where there was once only lack. From a joyous celebration, we turn to a story of lifelong suffering. Imagine a man born into a world of complete darkness, never having seen a sunrise, a flower, or the face of a loved one. This was the reality for a man blind from birth. As Jesus and his disciples passed by, they saw him. The disciples asked a question that reflected a common belief of the time. Who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus' answer shifted their entire perspective. It was not about sin, he explained, but so that the works of God might be displayed in him. Jesus then spat on the ground, made mud with his saliva, and anointed the man's eyes. He gave a simple instruction. Go, wash in the pool of Siloam. The man obeyed. He went, he washed, and for the first time in his life, he could see. This miracle was more than just the restoration of physical sight. It was a powerful symbol of spiritual enlightenment. Just as Jesus brought light to the man's eyes, he offers to bring spiritual light to all who are lost in darkness, opening our eyes to the truth of God's love and salvation. Now, picture the Sea of Galilee, a body of water known for its sudden, violent storms. Jesus and his disciples are in a boat, crossing to the other side. Jesus, exhausted from his ministry, is asleep in the stern. Suddenly, a furious squall comes up. The waves break over the boat, nearly swamping it. The disciples, many of them experienced fishermen, are terrified. They wake Jesus, crying out, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" Jesus gets up, and with a voice of absolute authority, he rebukes the wind and says to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Immediately, the wind dies down, and it is completely calm. The disciples are left in utter awe, asking each other, "Who is this?" Even the wind and the waves obey him. This event demonstrates Jesus' absolute sovereignty over the forces of nature. It's a profound reminder that even in the fiercest storms of our lives, when we feel like we are about to be overwhelmed, the one who commands the seas is with us, able to bring peace and calm to our troubled hearts. Our next miracle takes us to a remote hillside where a massive crowd, more than 5,000 men, not counting women and children, has gathered to hear Jesus teach. As the day wears on, the disciples become concerned. They are in a desolate place, and the people have nothing to eat. They urge Jesus to send the crowds away to buy food. But Jesus has another plan. He asks them, "How many loaves do you have?" They find a young boy willing to share his meager lunch. Just 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. It seems impossibly small for such a huge crowd. Yet Jesus takes the offering, gives thanks to God, and begins to break the bread and fish. He gives them to the disciples to distribute. Miraculously, the food multiplies. Everyone eats until they are completely satisfied. And what's more, when the disciples gather the leftovers, they fill 12 baskets. This isn't just about feeding a hungry crowd. It's a living parable of spiritual provision. Jesus shows that he is the bread of life, the one who can satisfy our deepest spiritual hunger. He teaches us that when we offer our small, seemingly insignificant resources to him, he can multiply them to accomplish incredible things. The disciples have just witnessed the feeding of the 5,000 and are still processing this incredible event. Jesus sends them ahead in a boat while he goes up a mountainside to pray. As night falls, a strong wind whips up the sea, and the disciples find themselves straining at the oars, far from land. In the darkest hours of the night, they see something that fills them with terror. A figure walking toward them on the water. They think it's a ghost and cry out in fear. But a familiar voice cuts through the storm. Take courage. It is, I don't be afraid. It's Jesus. Peter, ever impulsive, calls out, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water. Jesus simply says, come. Peter steps out of the boat and, for a few moments, does the impossible. He walks on water toward Jesus. But when he sees the wind and the waves, fear takes over, and he begins to sink, crying out, Lord, save me. Immediately, Jesus reaches out his hand and catches him. This miracle is a powerful lesson in faith. When our eyes are fixed on Jesus, we can do the impossible. But when we focus on the storms around us, we sink. Yet, even in our doubt, Jesus' hand is always there to save us. Perhaps one of the most personal and dramatic miracles is the raising of Lazarus. Lazarus and his sisters, Mary and Martha, were dear friends of Jesus. When Lazarus falls gravely ill, his sisters send word to Jesus. But Jesus intentionally waits for 2 more days before heading to their village of Bethany. By the time he arrives, Lazarus has been dead and in the tomb for 4 days. Martha, heartbroken, meets Jesus and says, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. In a moment of profound humanity, Jesus, seeing her grief and the weeping of those with her, is deeply moved and weeps. He asks to be taken to the tomb. He commands the stone to be rolled away. And then, with a loud voice that pierces the veil between life and death, he cries out, Lazarus, come out. A man who was dead walks out of the tomb, still wrapped in his burial cloths. This miracle is the ultimate foreshadowing of Jesus' own resurrection. It is a bold, undeniable declaration that Jesus has power over death itself, and that for those who believe in him, death is not the end. He is the resurrection and the life. In ancient times, leprosy was a dreaded disease. It not only ravaged the body, but also led to complete social and religious isolation. A leper was an outcast, forced to live apart from family and community. One day, a man covered in leprosy approaches Jesus. Breaking all social and religious laws, he kneels before him and says with desperate faith, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Jesus is filled with compassion. He does the unthinkable. He reaches out and touches the untouchable man. This act of touch alone would have been shocking, a profound gesture of acceptance and love. Then, Jesus speaks the words the man longed to hear. I am willing. Be clean. Instantly, the leprosy leaves him and his skin is restored. This powerful healing shows that Jesus is not afraid of our uncleanness, our brokenness, or our isolation. He willingly reaches into our deepest mess and offers not just physical healing, but restoration and welcome back into the community of the beloved. We now find ourselves in a crowded house in Capernaum where Jesus is teaching. The crowd is so dense that no one else can get in. Meanwhile, 4 men are determined to bring their paralyzed friend to Jesus. Seeing they can't get through the door, they come up with a radical plan. They climb onto the roof, dig an opening through the clay and thatch, and lower their friend on his mat, right in front of Jesus. Jesus, seeing their incredible faith, looks at the paralyzed man and says something unexpected. "Son, your sins are forgiven." The religious leaders in the room are scandalized, thinking, "Who can forgive sins but God alone?" Knowing their thoughts, Jesus challenges them. Which is easier, he asks, to say, "Your sins are forgiven," or to say, "Get up, take your mat and walk"? Then, to prove that he has the authority on earth to forgive sins, he turns to the paralytic and commands, "I tell you, get up, take your mat, and go home." The man immediately stands up, picks up his mat, and walks out in full view of everyone.